Tonight, state government restates commitment to prevention and control of HIV/AIDS. Federal government commences payment of outstanding salary arrears to members of the Nigeria Association of Resident Doctors. Judicial officers warn against indiscriminate use of social media. And abroad, United States begins blockade of the Strait of Hormuz amidst China's condemnation. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the Delta Television Main News. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Joy Ucheyi is my name. Thank you for joining us. The state government has restated its commitment to the prevention and control of HIV/AIDS in the state. Governor Sharifu Boriwori stated this at the unveiling of the Delta State Agency for the Control of HIV/AIDS DELSACA's State Strategic Plan SSP for the year 2025 to 2027. Esther Oputa reports.
The governor, represented by the secretary to the state government, Dr. Kingsley Emu, said although the state had been able to take care of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome AIDS in the state, plans were on to ensure the prevention of the HIV. He said the 25 local government chairmen and 270 ward leaders in the state will be included in the funding of the strategic plan.
So the way to go is to be a bit more creative and domesticate the entire process. We are currently working on something with them, not one fund that project. It's going to be a GoFundMe, which is a private sector level, to see how we can manage and raise funds for schools.
The executive secretary of DELSACA, Dr. Humson Rudolph, said over 65,000 persons were living with HIV, amounting to 1.9% in the state, adding that 21% of the persons living with HIV were unaccounted for.
Our response is multi-sectoral, data-driven, and locally adapted. That is why you're here. Maximizing equitable access to HIV service. This involves scaling up prevention. Now, for you to be able to prevent, you need to be able to test.
Presenting the strategic plan, the consultant to the National Agency for the Control of HIV/AIDS, NACA, Dr. Raymond Ahimie, said the plan prioritized sustainability, adding that the current economic reality was put into cognizance.
So what drives HIV trends in Delta State? The drivers are behavioral. There's still multiple sexual partners still in practice, lack of use of condoms still in practice.
The chairman, House Committee on Health in the State House of Assembly, Honorable Ferguson Onwo, represented by the Secretary of the Committee, Mr. Emmanuel Mabodike, said the State House of Assembly was reviewing the HIV laws to include hepatitis B and A treatment and prevention, as well as other opportunistic diseases that affect HIV carriers.
This event is not only significant, it is urgent, as HIV/AIDS remain a major public health concern, both globally and here in Nigeria.
Other stakeholders called on religious and traditional rulers to ensure zero tolerance to stigmatization of persons living with the HIV and ensure proper sensitization and advocacy. The highlight of the event was the unveiling of the SSP by the governor, flanked by representatives of the commissioners for health, justice and economic planning, as well as the chairman of the Civil Service Commission, Chief Roslyn Amioku, and the general manager of the Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobame Emetulu, represented by a deputy general manager in the news department, Mrs. Tessie Abuga. Esther Oputa reporting.
The state government has intervened in the leadership dispute in Umu Iwele Abuato community, Nandokwa East local government area, with a call for peace and unity among stakeholders. The meeting was held at the Lorogon Felix Ibru Secretariat in Asaba. Henry Onogwa reports.
Umu Iwele. And
the special advisor to the governor on peace building and conflict resolution, Chief Edwin Ozo, said the intervention followed a petition by some community members alleging intimidation and internal crises. He explained that the state peace building and conflict resolution team had verified the authenticity of the existing community development committee based on available records. Chief Ozo urged all parties to accept the findings in the interest of peace and development.
To resolve that the CDC, led by Obi, which tenure has expired, following the discussion with the Okpaluku, who said we should be given time for them to do election. We've now agreed that that election or selection or appointment should come not more than June.
The peace building team also engaged stakeholders from Ibide Kingdom in Isoko South local government area over issues surrounding traditional positions. Chief Ozo assured the people that the state government would review all submissions and take necessary steps to ensure lasting peace.
As borders on traditional titles being given, later removed, restored, and all that. We've heard from them. We told them that we're going to go further. We'll go further to involve other stakeholders, including the kings, who is involved, who will meet with them and fashion out the possible way to make peace.
Some stakeholders who spoke expressed satisfaction with the process and called for timely government intervention.
Let government call the king to order. One, let him understand the people he's ruling and listen to them, especially the decision makers collectively taking with the people.
On behalf of the good people of Ibide that are here, we thank you and your committee. We are grateful. We spoke with you before and know what you can do. So we hope to hear good news so that those at home that we have been pressuring in order for them to calm down, they will be happy at the end of the day.
Henry Onogwa reporting.
Medical consultants in the state have been charged to promote unity within the health sector and strengthen collaboration for improved patient care. The state head of service, Dr. Mrs. Miniminim Oseji, gave the charge at the ordinary general meeting of the Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria Hospital Management Board chapter held at the conference hall of the office of the head of service in Asaba. Henry Onogwa reports.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Saji said the meeting coincided with our one-year anniversary in office, appreciating the association's support and urging consultants to foster harmony while advocating the establishment of nursing homes, pharmaceutical production unit, and fitness centers. She stressed the need for teamwork among health professionals, expressing concern over the recent attack on 2 doctors at the Central Hospital Warri and calling for improved security and better staff orientation.
Ordinary general meeting of our Noble Association. The hosting of this meeting in my office is coming at an auspicious time, as I have just marked my 12 months, that is 1 year anniversary, since my swearing in as head of service, HOS. Each member of our association attending the meeting today will leave with a copy of the newly published book titled The Fix-It Adventures of Meaning by Catherine Isaac Agontai, inspired by the various experiences in my own journey of life.
The head of service also advised head of health institutions to develop orientation handbook for house officers and interns, focusing on infection control and disease prevention, while reaffirming her commitment to improve healthcare delivery. Henry Onogwa reporting.
The federal government has commenced payment of outstanding salary arrears to members of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, following the review of the consolidated medical salary structure. Association's Publicity and Social Secretary, Dr. Abdul Majid Ibrahim, confirmed that the arrears covering between 1 and 6 months for some doctors were already being disbursed, with many members reporting receipt. He explains that while most payments were progressing smoothly, the August component was, however, experiencing minor administrative delays which might affect disbursements by up to 2 weeks. Dr. Ibrahim assured the doctors yet to be credited that the process will be completed in due course, urging them to remain patient as efforts continued to resolve the issues. The development comes amid long-standing concerns over welfare, unpaid salaries, and working conditions raised by resident doctors, which have often led to industrial actions and contributed to ongoing pressure on the country's healthcare system. President Bola Tinubu has officially commissioned the new corporate headquarters of the Nigeria Revenue Service in Abuja. The event marked the transition from the Federal Inland Revenue Service to the newly restructured Nigeria Revenue Service. President Tinubu, while addressing guests in a video of the unveiling shared by his special assistant on social media, Dada Olusegun, hailed the agency's performance and formally declared the building open. Another video shows the president cutting the ribbon, flanked by the chairman of the Nigeria Revenue Service, Mr. Zak Adediji, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, among other government officials. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called on traditional rulers across the country to prioritize peace and mobilize their communities for development. Chief Obasanjo said, traditional rulers are constitutionally positioned to drive development and complement government's efforts in improving the lives of people at the grassroots. He noted that modern-day monarchs must strive to add value to the lives of their subjects and remain committed to advancing unity and progress within their domains. The former president gave the charge today during the installation of the new Odemo of Isara Kingdom, Oba Peter Ogumbayo. He urged the monarch to be a father to all and foster cordial relationships among residents as well as neighboring communities. Obasanjo added that beyond preserving tradition and culture, traditional rulers must mobilize their people to contribute to the socio-economic growth of the town. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekere Ekong, has cautioned judicial officers against misconduct and indiscriminate use of social media, warning that such actions could erode public confidence in the judiciary. Justice Kekere Ekong gave the warning at the 2026 National Workshop on Judicial Ethics for Judges of Superior Courts of Record held at the National Judicial Institute in Abuja, stressing that the credibility of the judiciary depends not only on sound judgments but also on public perception of integrity. She noted that with the rise of digital communication, judges are now under constant public scrutiny, making it imperative for them to exercise discipline and sound judgment in their conduct. The Chief Justice emphasized that ethical standards must be upheld both within and outside the courtroom, adding that even unintended lapses could negatively impact the image and credibility of the justice system. Justice Kekere Ekong also highlighted common ethical challenges faced by judicial officers, including conflict of interest, recusal, and extrajudicial engagements. She urged continuous judicial education and adherence to established codes of conduct, noting that consistent and principled behavior by judges will strengthen public trust and ensure effective delivery of justice across the country. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Emomotimi Guo, has congratulated Chief MacDonald Egbadiwe on his emergence as President of the Ijaw National Congress, INC. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Nkenweke, the Speaker described Chief Egbadiwe as an accomplished administrator and a committed advocate of the Ijaw Nation. Right Honorable Guo urged the new INC executive to prioritize unity, peace, and purposeful engagement, noting that progress of the Ijaw Nation depends on cohesion and strategic collaboration. He also charged the leadership to strengthen internal harmony and advance the collective interest of the Ijaw people, even as he prayed for wisdom, strength, and a successful tenure for Chief Igbadewe and his team, assuring them of the support of the state's legislature. The All Progressives Congress in Ethiopia West local government area has held a unity rally, stressing the need for cohesion ahead of future electoral processes. Governor Sharif Oboriwori, represented by the Delta Central chairman of the party, Chief Paulinus Akbeke, urged members to work together, noting that unity was key to sustaining the party's gains. The chairman of the Ethiopia West local government, Honorable Chris Onogba, described the reconciliation as a turning point, while other stakeholders called for discipline and an end to divisive comments. Party leaders emphasized the need for members to operate as one family and strengthen internal relationships, with the rally witnessing a large turnout of supporters reflecting renewed unity.
People of Ethiopia West, together we will be the formidable APC that is not only united but unstoppable.
Still to come on the Delta Television main news, United States begins blockade of the Strait of Hormuz amidst China's condemnation. Details of this and more shortly. Stay with us. Thank you for staying on. You're watching the Delta Television main news at 8. We're going straight to the foreign scene. At least 4 Iran-linked ships, including 2 that visited Iranian ports, crossed the Straits of Hormuz today, following the start of a blockade by the U.S. China's foreign ministry has condemned the blockade of Iranian ports as dangerous and irresponsible. Washington's blockade came into force yesterday when Vice President J.D. Vance accused Iran of economic terrorism. The U.S. military has said it will not impede ships using the strait to go to and fro from non-Iranian ports. Meanwhile, Iran has described the blockade as a violation of its sovereignty. Anglophone separatists in Cameroon have announced a period of safe travel passage and halted fighting ahead of Pope Leo XVI's visit to the conflict. It hits the region this week. Leaders of several armed secessionist groups said the 3-day measure was in recognition of the profound spiritual importance of the papal visit, which starts tomorrow, as well as the need to safeguard civilian life. In a statement from Unity Alliance, which brings the groups together, they said they would facilitate the movement of those celebrating the visit, but the government is yet to comment. A near decade of violence in the English-speaking regions has left at least 6,000 dead and many more forced from their homes. Pope Leo is currently in Algeria for a second day as part of his 11-day tour of the continent, in which he will also visit Cameroon, Angola, and Equatorial Guinea. Peace is one of the major themes of his visit. The pontiff arrived in Algeria on Monday, marking the first visit by any pope to the predominantly Sunni Muslim country. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has warned global economies at risk of recession if the U.S.-Israel war with Iran continues and high energy prices persist. In its World Economic Outlook report, the IMF said in a worst-case scenario where oil, gas, and food prices spike and remain high this year and next, global growth could fall below 2 in 2026. Energy prices have soared since the war began more than 6 weeks ago, after the key Strait of Hormuz shipping route effectively closed and peace talks between the U.S. and Iran failed. It said the most severe conditions could lead to a worldwide slowdown and would include oil prices reaching an average of $110 per barrel this year and hitting $125,000 in 2027. Based on these assumptions, the IMF said inflation could reach as much as 6. This could force central banks to increase interest rates to slow the pace of price. Moreover, the IMF pointed out that the risk of recession would only increase if severe conditions continued over 2 years. It said that if the conflict is resolved in the next few weeks and if energy production and exports from the Middle East begin to normalize by the middle of the year, global growth would ease. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has cautioned commercial banks in the country against granting loans without credible and verifiable collateral, warning that such practices expose the financial system to risk. EFCC Chairman Mr. Ola Olukoyede, who gave the warning in Lagos, said loans backed only by personal guarantees, including those of chief executives, were unsafe and could lead to insider abuse and rising non-performing loans. He urged banks to strengthen due diligence processes, insisting that all credit facilities must be supported by tangible collateral to protect the depositors' funds and reduce financial crimes. Bank executives' education called for faster EFCC investigations involving bank staff to enhance cooperation and accountability in the banking sector. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has felicitated the General Overseer of the Promised Kingdom Ministries Overflow Chapel Worldwide, Archbishop Gode Iboyi, on his 50th birth anniversary, commending his humility and purposeful leadership. The governor spoke at a Thanksgiving service held at the Cathedral of Overflow Chapel in Okwori Amokbe, Sapele, attended by a cross-section of clergymen, political leaders, and traditional rulers. He described Archbishop Iboyi as a devoted servant of God and humanity, stressing that true leadership is rooted in humility and not position, while urging leaders to act with wisdom and integrity. Governor Boriwori also encouraged a lifestyle of gratitude, prayer and faith, calling on the celebrant and congregation to remain steadfast in their service to God and humanity. The event featured prayers for the celebrant and thanksgiving. Here's a thought for the day. Live a life that aligns with your values, not someone else's expectations. And that's our news, but just before we go, here are the highlights of the news. The state government has restated its commitment to the prevention and control of HIV/AIDS in the state. Governor Sherifu Boriwori stated this at the unveiling of the Delta State Agency for Control of HIV/AIDS, the SACA's State Strategic Plan (SSP) for the year 2025 to 2027. The federal government has commenced payment of outstanding salary arrears to members of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) following the review of the consolidated medical salary structure. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekere Ekong, has cautioned judicial officers against misconduct and indiscriminate use of social media, warning that such actions could erode public confidence in the judiciary. And from abroad, we did report that at least 4 Iran-linked ships, including 2 that visited Iranian ports, crossed the Strait of Hormuz today, following the start of a blockade by the U.S. You can also follow our news online on Facebook at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, and also on YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. On behalf of the entire news crew, we thank you so much for watching. Joy Ochei is my name. Good night.